First, when you talk about true place, the true place,
the true place,
my true place. Basically, on each of the swings, I recognize my true place in certain way. Always slightly different, and always sort of lost contact with it, or just like it sort of disappeared. But more and more gradually, I was aware that...
What disappeared?
The sense of the clarity of, okay, this is my true place.
Okay, so can I just put something to you, all of you now? So even if the most high, as is perceived, state also seemed to disappear, isn't its disappearance also observed? And this is very crucial thing, you know, because your observations are becoming more subtle. Maybe at an earlier stage, when this sense of a disappearance happened, you would have included your sense of self in that, and you, because of the belief, you think, oh no, I've lost, oh no, it's gone. All this is happening to you by grace also, so that you can refine your seeing. Because sometimes we'll take the self to be the most exquisite feeling, even a feelingless feeling, subtle. Will that be an accurate representation of what the self is, even? You say that even though that exquisite feeling seemed to subside, I still know the self is there. That is not enough. That is not enough. Okay, last night we could look up into the heavens and we could look at the stars. Now today we cannot see stars. So we can say we know they're there. We know the stars don't come out at night. We know that they're there, but in the sunlight we cannot see them. Okay? We know they're there. Is the self like that? Is the self like that? That, you know, I can't feel it right now, but I know it is there. So this I who is saying, but I know it is there, is that voice reliable? How can self not be there? Self can be imagined by the imaginary one to be not there. When the mind energy comes, if it has a force, it must have a force for the one who perceives it. The one who says, now the mind is here now and things are not clear for me. Now the mind has come. What it means mind has come? In what form has it come? It must come in a personal way. To say, now I'm not feeling, comes in the way of feeling, you see. I'm not feeling like I'm quite as focused as I was yesterday. Or it brings some thought, it brings something personal, you see, because that's worked in the past. The personal sense has somehow created a sense of distortion in the consciousness which is not personal, but has been conditioned to behave personally. So it comes, the mind force comes because what? To expose that there's still some noise of personhood, some charge is still in the feeling or the concept of personhood. So when the mind arises and disturbance arises, please don't curse the mind. The mind is helping to expose that the potential for personal identity is still alive in us. Do you see or not? If we curse the mind, you mislabel the experience as a gift and take it as a curse. When we are strongly identified with personhood, mind is friend and enemy, you know? Now you have come back to a deeper and truer place in yourself as the weakness of the ego identity and the ego identity's world and its projections. And there's a distance there. Now, from the place of the weakness, the life becomes much more calm. You are not so much participating, and the strongest participation is not the action, but the identity behind the action. You can be making many, many actions and no identity, and no trouble. But you can be quiet and not moving with identity, and big trouble. Identity is at the root of all mischief. Identity meaning personal identity, identifying the consciousness, which is a universal thing, becomes localized as a person and is living in the very narrow mode of personhood. When we are believing that the person is the fact of who we are, the person's world seems big. When we have moved outside of the limitation of personhood and look at personhood, personhood feels small. At some point, even the weakness of personhood, who is in a much purer environment, more peaceful, more kind, less afraid, more content. Sometimes the beingness feels, this is good. I love this life now. Can we press pause and just enjoy? See? But by the force of nature and grace of God, something is always evolving if there's more space to evolve. So after you have stabilized in the place of the weakness for a while, blessed state, you may still begin to feel an urge that, wait a second, but even weaknessing stage is also observable. May. Now the weakness has become very pure, impersonal, and limitless. Even not called weakness anymore. Weaknessing happens to this one, but you cannot even call him weakness. In the higher stage, you cannot say, weaknessing also happen. Weaknessing of witnessing happen also. But you cannot give him any name now. Shapeless. Now you can be without definition, and you're happy. The ego cannot be without definition. It loves the adjectives. It loves that, oh, he's a nice guy. Yeah, he's beautiful. She's so sweet. It likes that. But in the ultimate state, none of those descriptions convey what you are. It must come that you see both. That doesn't matter what happens, the self is never lost. Meaning you are the self. Not that you go to the self. Not that you experience the self. There's not you experiencing the self. You are the self. You come to that realization. You didn't create that. You've just matured back into that recognition that you are the self. Then you see the sense of personhood coming in, which is fine. Then you can say, oh, wow, I can see the sense of personhood. Don't fight with that also. The sense of personhood is what? Is it an actuality or is it a belief? The sense of personhood comes back again, and somebody call you and say, Jonathan, you know, what's happening, you're late, and suddenly you feel, Jonathan, oh, yes, me, oh, and something is there. Does that eclipse the self? It may, for some time, it may feel that that has eclipsed the self, and suddenly I'm Jonathan running around, and I'm going to lose my job, and oh, I'm going to pay the rent, and blah, 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 blah. But gradually, even that will become more distant, to the point where the self cannot be covered by the mind. At some point, you will see The self cannot be covered by the mind. Mind can be bubbling and going this way and that way. Body can feel like this and that. Thoughts and feelings can be this and that. But this is always the same. This is untouched. A billion years before, this is as it is. Billions of years from now, this is as it is. Yet it is never stale nor stagnant. It is the quintessence of all that exists, meaning that quintessence means it is the essence of the essence of all things. And it is being introduced to itself in the form of I. But it is earlier than I, and yet it is timeless. Don't think about it. Know it. You are not its descendant. You are it. You have a time body, but it is timeless. You have a changing body, changing mind, but it is unchanging. It is the uncaused cause of all things. In your own silence, it will confirm itself. You are here, but not waiting. Not expecting. Change occurs in you and in front of you, but your essence is unchanging.